I've planned more versions of the future than I've lived days in my present. This post I saw on the internet yesterday, and it hit me so hard because it fully describes me and maybe some of the people that I know as well, maybe some of you as well. And I realized that we are very good future planners. We have big hopes, we have big dreams that we would like to achieve, we have big goals. So the problem is not that we don't have these dreams. And in all honesty, the dreams are also not too big, especially when you see what people are achieving in the world that we live in today. The problem is that we don't know how to start small. Like the real start to us achieving our goal, they're probably too small for us. And we'll get into that as we go on within this episode. I kept on thinking, why do people not start when they say, I want to achieve something, this is what I need to do, I have a plan, why don't they start? And I wanted to simplify it, so I grouped it into two different reasons. Reason number one, they don't start because they don't want to look like a beginner. Reason number two, because they're scared of failing. And for me, reason number two, it's easier to understand. It's also easier to get over from my perspective, because, well, if you're scared for failure, then plan for it. I'm not saying plan to avoid the failure. I'm saying make failure one of your objectives. Because I realized that when you fail, you learn a lot from that. But that make failure one of your objective, it's not a complete statement the way I would make it. I would say make failure one of your objective, but ensure that you never stop until you succeed. Which means when you fail, you will try again. It's not the end. It's just a learning opportunity. Even if you pivot into something else and anything that you do, in all honesty, that failure, you will see how it later adds value to everything that you do afterwards. So that's easy. The more difficult one is the looking like a beginner, because I think it takes a lot more mental strength for people to accept that. I remember when I was trying to convince one of my friends to get into working out, and we would have this back and forth. She would promise I'll get to the gym, she's not there, or she comes and she's not doing a lot. And I said, okay, maybe you can go by yourself sometimes, and so on and so forth. And then we'll have this argument usually on whether she should go, why she's not going, and so on. Then one day she blurted out to me, I just don't want to go there and let other people see that I don't know how to do some of these exercises. Even when I've showed her, even when I've showed that video, she was too scared to look like a beginner. And I think that's maybe the problem. That the real battle is not starting these things, right? But being seen starting them. From my experience, one of the ways that I have used to convince people to do it is to use an example that I read on the internet about the guy that he moved to Germany, he was learning the language, and I think I also felt the same way personally as well. Moved to Germany, learning the language, never felt like he's learned anything. Every single person that I speak to that learned German at some point, they're always like, honestly, I'm not learning anything. But then you do one class, one step to the other, you pass the exam, you move to the next level, and so on. And then one day, it's just like magic. So this guy posted on Reddit that he moved to Germany, was learning the language, did not feel like he was learning anything, until one day he suddenly understood the cashier in a supermarket talking about, oh, scan the barcode and so on. And it just felt like magic. It just happens. And the reason this happens is that progress is like magic. You might not see it on a day-to-day, but one day it just clicks that, oh, now I can actually do this thing. And this is exactly what happened to my friend. She somehow managed to convince herself to start small, but mainly because she was not liking how her body was going, mental health reasons and all that. But somehow she got a different motivation to go. And remember, from my perspective, I believe that motivation is a spark. It's not really what builds the consistency and the discipline that you need to be in control. But anyways, it might still be useful to get that spark at the beginning to build the habit. Now she's going to the gym more regularly, right? Until very recently, she was very surprised that she's getting a lot of compliments in the gym where guys are coming to her and saying, wow, you're so strong. We see what you're lifting. This is crazy. And ladies are coming to her, please, can you train me? Can you teach me? From going from being scared to be the beginner without knowing it to progress so far down the line, and not just in our physical progression, but to look like an expert in the gym. I want to use this example to push people to start things. Another thing that people might worry about is that they don't want to start until everything is perfect, until the plan is perfect. To be honest, I'm also in this big hole. Like, especially with businesses, I wouldn't want to kickstart something without having all my math worked out. And if it doesn't work out, I sort of put it to the side for a while. And I have another friend, he has a very successful business, keeps growing at the moment. It works with the ideology of just start and you'll figure it out as it goes. From my perspective, I think you should be somewhere in the middle. Chasing perfection at the beginning when you haven't started is probably not the way to go. A great example is with Pixar. I remember there was an interview I read about people working there, and they said, look, many of the movies, many of the shows that they release, it starts very ugly. Ugly sketches, ugly soundtrack, just one um, smack on a chair or something. And by the time they get to the final work that is getting published or that is getting released, it's a completely different story. But the key is that you have to start. No matter how rubbish it is, no matter how incomplete, you don't even know where it's going to end, but you need to take that one step every day. You just need to start. I battle with it, but I also don't because there are many things that I also just start. Yeah, and I'll use fitness again as an example. When I really started, it wasn't necessarily perfect timing. I remember a lot of my friends back then, they would tell me, oh, you cannot do this, you cannot work out while being a student, you don't have enough money to make sure that you have enough of the dietary requirements. And this was back in Nigeria, by the way. But I still started anyways. And it looked very funny because, in fact, for that one, the progress looked. I was losing weight to start with. The first 2 months, I was looking at see if I was getting sick and losing, body weight. And then over time, it showed as a different result, obviously. But in that one, I just started because I wanted to. It was just a conscious decision to start. It's the same thing with a lot of other things that I've done in my life, whether it's relocating abroad, whether it's getting a job, whether it's getting admission in a university, whether it's starting a business. A lot of those things I just started. And I would like to implore people to really keep that in mind. It does not have to be perfect. It is a journey. You'll be surprised as to how it ends up. Just start. Maybe starting seems too big in itself because you have a plan, you know how to start small, you don't have a problem with that. You don't expect the plan to be perfect, but you think it's a lot of effort because there's also the timing consideration, that's the effort consideration. When that's the problem, the advice that I always give is to follow the 10-minute rule. I've always given this 10-minute rule in different ways. So the first thing is sometimes I would say just go. Say you want to prepare for an exam, you don't know where to start, it just seems so massive, you have to finish an entire textbook. Then I say, okay, do 10 minutes per day. Then if you get into a state of flow, you can continue, but make it a real 10 minutes, right? Focus and just do it. But it could also be read 1 page per day. But maybe you get into a state of flow and you end up at 20 pages. You never know. But set your target to the most easily achievable one, right? And I've given this advice for a long time until I found out a research from the American Psychology Society or Association or something like this, where they actually tested it. People that they said you do 10 minutes and people that they say, well, you do the entire circuit. So say for fitness, for example, entire 1 hour. And they realized that they were able to build more consistency and achieve more of the goals with people that were pushed to only do 10 minutes of the activities, right? So it doesn't matter what you're trying to do. The 10 minutes for those things might be different. So for a business, it might be go to that one company one day. For studying, it might really be 10 minutes or 1 page. For exercise, it might be 10 minutes. In fact, there's another thing with the gym. I would say just go to the gym, plan the amount of time that you can, but don't lift any weight. Just walk around and see people. Just walk around, just talk to people, and just be there in the space where that activity is happening. And that might be your initial 10 minutes to start. Yeah. So that's another way to potentially create that habit and consistency. To wrap it all up, I think confidence is a big thing. Yeah, confidence is a big thing. The belief in yourself that you can achieve that goal is absolutely required. However, confidence is not a feeling. From my perspective, confidence is a track record. It's like a ledger. It is looking back and seeing that you've achieved something before. It's looking back and seeing that you've done something before. Growing up, I used to be very good in school. Yeah, so I would finish first top of my class, even from childhood. But I recall correctly that back then I was running on pure confidence of track record. As I grew older, I got better at retrospectively looking at what I'm doing to achieve my results. But as a child, that wasn't what I was doing. I just strictly believed that because I was first position last term, I'll be first position again next term. And I just, without paying attention to whatever it is, I just believed that. And I would just make it happen again. It was just blind confidence. But it's not fully blind, because the true confidence comes from the track record of having done it before, or having done something before in such a well structured way. Of course, it took me failing with that confidence to now pay attention to what exactly was I doing that made me, so quote unquote, successful in things that I tried to do. And yeah, as an adult, that helped, but always knowing that I am who I am because of my experiences and what I've done before, it helps me to achieve more success moving forward. And this is why you have to start. Just start. Whether it's starting small, whether it's starting roughly, whether it's starting good, it doesn't matter. Just start. Build that experience, build that true confidence from the track record. The world does not reward people that are good planners or people who wait. The world rewards people that start. And it's not about motivation, it's really just about starting quietly, roughly, terribly, small. It doesn't matter. Just start. So, as you watch this, I hope you will take away from this episode that whatever it is that you have as a goal to achieve, whatever objective you've set for yourself, even for this 2025, start today. Or if you're watching it late, start tomorrow. But make sure you start. That's it for today's episode. It's Malik again with ThinkTalk Couch Conversation. And I hope you've learned something from this one as well. If you like what you've heard, please do not forget to like the video, share the video that you care about, and subscribe to the channel for more. Cheers.